Rudy Giuliani was apparently inebriated on election night in November 2020 when he urged Donald Trump to declare prematurely and wrongly that he had beaten Democrat Joe Biden for the presidency. Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney of Wyoming, the vice chair of the Congressional Select Committee investigating the insurrection at the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021 by extremist Trump supporters, declared as much during her opening remarks on Monday in the committee's second public hearing of 6 in Washington, D.C. The first hearing was last Thursday. You will also hear testimony that Donald Trump rejected the advice of his campaign experts on election night and instead followed the course recommended by an apparently inebriated Rudy Giuliani to just claim he won and insist that the vote counting stop, to falsely claim that everything was fraudulent, Cheney said. Mississippi Democrat Benny Thompson, the chair of the House of Representatives panel, had already outlined that the public would hear how Trump lost an election and knew he lost an election, and as a result of this loss decided to wage an attack on our democracy by inciting the deadly violence on 6 January as rioters broke into the Capitol to try to stop the official certification of Biden's victory. On the night of November 3, 2020, Trump was at the White House with family and aides watching election night coverage. A witness at Monday's hearing, Chris Sturwalt, a former politics editor for Fox News, testified that the conservative cable channel's decision desk on the night was the best in the business and, controversially, beat other outlets to be the first to declare that Biden, not Trump, had unexpectedly won in the pivotal state of Arizona. That result was a huge blow to the Republicans that caused anger and dismay among those gathered at the White House, both the result itself and the fact that it was Fox News that had called it, the committee heard. Jason Miller, an attorney then advising Trump, testified to the committee by video that at that point on the night, there were suggestions by, I believe it was Mayor Giuliani, to go and declare victory and say that we'd won it outright. And he described Giuliani, a lawyer and former mayor of New York who was also advising Trump, as definitely intoxicated. Ivanka Trump, the president's daughter and advisor, testified on video that she opined on the night that it was too early to announce that the election was decided, let alone that her father had won. And Donald Trump's then campaign manager Bill Stepien also said that he did not think the president should declare victory on election night, but the president disagreed with him. It was far too early to be making any calls like that, ballots were still being counted, Stepien testified. Trump falsely declared victory in the early hours of Wednesday, 4 November. The election was ultimately called for Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris on Saturday, 7 November. Late-night hosts unpack the second primetime hearing on Trump's plotting and Rudy Giuliani's drunk election night. The House Select Committee hearings on the events of 6 January last year commenced again, and we're all waiting to find out if the former president gets to go to the fantasy suite with Lady Justice, Stephen Colbert quipped. She's blind, so he's got a shot. So far my major feeling about these hearings, both Thursday and today, is one of enormous gratitude, the Late Show host continued. We know a lot of this stuff already, but watching them put it together reminds us that we're not crazy. For the past 17 months, the former president and his spineless toadies have been gaslighting us, telling us that we did not see what we all saw, a coup. And it's not like the guy was hiding it, ever. He told everyone he was going to commit a crime, and then he went out and he crimed it, Colbert said. During the Monday hearing, Liz Cheney said Trump ignored advisors who confirmed the 2020 election was over and instead followed the advice of an apparently inebriated Rudy Giuliani to pursue non-existent claims of election fraud. That raises an interesting question: how many of the former president's terrible ideas came from an inebriated Rudy Giuliani? Colbert wondered. Could it be all of them? Trevor Noah. According to the committee, Trump planned to overthrow the election because he knew that he had lost, Trevor Noah explained on Monday's Daily Show. And the reason that we know he knew that he had lost is because now everyone around him is spilling the beans. Former Attorney General Bill Barr, for example, called the fraud claims bullshit and bogus and silly, while daughter Ivanka Trump said she accepted Barr's assessment. Trump's inner circle was well aware that the election did not go their way, and they told Trump, no one noted. Except for one person, who had the liquid courage to say that Trump did win. That would be the apparently inebriated Rudy Giuliani, who was definitely intoxicated, as former Trump advisor Jason Miller told the committee. I'm just curious how you even know when Rudy Giuliani is drunk, Noah wondered. Because when a normal person is drunk, they say crazy things, they yell, they sweat a lot. So how does that work with Rudy? Does it work in reverse? Like, does he start talking normally, his hair dye sucks back into his hair? It actually says a lot about Trump that a whole team of sober advisors, his attorney general, his campaign manager, his daughter whom he wants to bang, they were all telling him you lost this election, sir, Noah continued. But then Trump was telling them, yeah, whatever, drunk vampire, what do you think? When you think about it, it actually makes sense that Trump would listen to a drunk person, he concluded, because that's the one time people probably sound like him. Seth Meyers. On late night, Seth Meyers also took aim at Giuliani, a familiar target. It turns out a significant portion of the hearing, bolstered by witness testimony, focused on former Mayor Giuliani, an attorney to the President of the United States, being blitzed out of his fucking mind, he said. It's so funny to me how in all these depositions, Trump aides are all hemming and hawing, pausing and taking their time to use the most precise legal language possible because they're under oath, he added. But then as soon as someone asks, was anyone drunk at the White House? They all immediately buzz in like the overeager uncle on Family Feud. Rudy. It was Rudy. In fact, if who was drunk at the White House? Was a question on Family Feud, the top 5 answers would all be the same, Rudy, he joked. Meyers also noted that the first primetime hearing last Thursday drew an estimated 20 million viewers, on par with such television events as Sunday Night Football and the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. I'm not surprised the hearing got Thanksgiving parade ratings, since so many of Trump's inner circle look like they could be balloons, Meyers quipped. And in Los Angeles, Jimmy Kimmel also debriefed the January 6 hearing. It is so crazy to see so much evidence confirming that Donald Trump did all the things we saw him do on television every day for 3 months straight, he said. As for an apparently inebriated Rudy Giuliani, which, by the way, is the title of Rudy's autobiography, Kimmel joked, the host wondered what could be the difference between drunk and sober Giuliani. The way you can tell that Rudy is drunk is that his breath smells more like booze than cigars and cat turds for a change, he joked. So Rudy was drunk. The big question is, what's Donald Trump's excuse? He doesn't even drink, Kimmel explained. There are really only 2 options here, either Donald Trump was lying and committed multiple crimes trying to strong-arm an election, or he's off his freaking rocker. I guess it could be both.